if we had known the last time we went to a restaurant would be the last time we went to a restaurant, we really would have lived it up. Hello, everybody. Yes,
Hi,
we
Tina.
are. We're live, and we're bringing you into the conversation.
Yes,
Favor be upon us all, Bosto, and however you see your energy going to the betterment of mankind, because Trina,
absolutely.
we need it. It is off the scale. By the way, Bosto to you,
Yes.
my dear. So good to see you.
Also to you. And so good to see you. And thank you for having me share part of your busy day.
Listen, my day is it's time. I told Lynn this morning, I said, I'm there washing the dishes and she's, I think, getting coffee. And, I said, isn't time an interesting construct? And of course, she looks at me going, where is this going?
Right.
And I said, see, that's the point. I could say that we're going somewhere, and that would have a connotation of time, but it's not actually time, but it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she
Yes.
told me I haven't had but one cup of coffee. Let me have my second
Right.
one
She's
before we
like,
get into.
right. She's like,
It's like, okay, all right.
it's too early for that for me, Wayne. It's too early.
So welcome
That sounds
everybody.
like my kind of girl. I'd be like,
Oh, you
oh
too.
gosh, I gotta have at least 2 cups for this one. Hold on.
Yeah, y'all
Yeah.
would get along. Hello, Miss Kaz. How you doing, hon? Kaz Hawk,
Hi,
how
Tina.
you doing? Blanca, good to see you. Let me just speak favor over us all again, and welcome from a very snowy Denver, Colorado.
You guys
Um,
are having freak weather. It's so weird.
it's going to be so sad because, I spent yesterday afternoon actually wearing a mask because the smoke was so bad. There was
Yeah.
ash coming down,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that just sucks.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
all of our trees are going to be basically flash frozen in the next 24 hours, and so they're going to just drop the leaves, or we won't have any color to the leaves because there ain't going to be no leaves left. And mark my word, we'll get back in close to hitting, if we get another 90-degree, this will be the hottest summer on record.
I think they broke a record yesterday in California.
And didn't you say, I
Hottest
think
day
it's our
ever.
friend, who was
Huh?
it over there, Adapt 2030, who was it that said that the growing season was 63 days
A
this
diamond at
year?
Oppenheimer Ranch.
Up here, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he was
yeah.
like, I think it was 63 or 67-day growing season was all you guys got because he's in Colorado with you.
Yeah, yeah, it sucked. And anyone who lives in this area knows that we had 73 days of 90 degrees or higher. Most of those were close to 100.
Yeah.
My garden, it was impossible I mean, the sun was so intense, the UV radiation was off the scale
Yeah.
that just sucked.
I think the only way we're going to be able to grow is if we're doing some type of indoor, or they're going to have some type of a shade screen. It's too intense.
Oh,
I mean, my
but
trees, they're dying too, Wayne, and they have water. It's not the water, it's just the leaves are burning.
yeah,
It's it's
that's what
it's
they're
it's
doing.
intense. It's intense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I hope that we do get abundant snow this winter because we're going to need it.
Gosh, yes. Oh
It
my
looks like
gosh.
it.
Yes. It's crazy too. I was thinking, I'm like, man, all these trees are burning and all this stuff is burning. And like you had ash in the sky and now it's snowing. So everything's being brought straight back down into the earth, which is interesting. I wonder if that's a fortification or it's going to make things toxic. I wonder.
I don't know. I
I don't know.
mean, some strange stuff is going on.
Yeah. Things are
Um,
changing very fast right now. Very fast,
they
guys.
are. The energy, I had some of the weirdest emails over the weekend, and I was like, what is going on with people? It's
I think fear is creeping up and it's making people freak out a little bit. And I think, when you don't understand what's going on, but you can sense something's going on, I think sometimes that's really hard. And then we process it sometimes inappropriately because
mhm.
we just can't put our finger on it and we know something's wrong. It's just tricky.
Yeah, I mean, and it's listen, you can't hide this. It's everywhere. It's people
Yeah.
are on edge, like you said. They are just really on edge, and I think that that gives indication that, for me, Trina, it means that there's something more going on here. I swear that this thing has so many levels and so many depths to it
Yes.
that it's just,
Yes.
you know.
That's what I'm seeing. It's like, oh my gosh, God, this is so big. It's like on so many levels. It's so big. It's like, it's big.
I feel like we're standing before Absalom, in Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
And
My God.
Absalom is smoking his hookah, and he's taking a hit of whatever it is in that pipe that he's be smoking, but he suddenly gets into the realm, and I feel like we're asking him, so Absalom, what does the future hold? And he says, you silly humans, the
Hmm.
future is what is
Human.
beholding you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's a thought. Someone wrote, and I think it was I got exactly what they wrote. They said, if peace or love is the way to go, then why hasn't it worked
Hmm.
in thousands and thousands and thousands of years?
Hmm.
It began to lead me, Trina, to the thought that, that's an intelligent question. And it deserves, I think, a group discussion, because if peace and love is the way,
Hmm.
we don't seem to want to go down that way.
Nope.
Now, a remnant, yes, but for the collective consciousness of the species,
Right.
no. We seem to really rather go to war.
Yeah, it's like I said, the programming, it's the education systems, the churches, the division, the religions, the Democrat, Republicans, all the,
Oh,
they've been programming us for thousands of years. And, it's always been about money and power and control. So, like the leaders and the rulers of this world obviously don't have humanity's interest at heart at all.
David Barry 75, you really bring out, it's odd because the synchronicities within this community, and we've had intruders. We've
Yeah.
had the machines try to come in and cause strife and division. But I want to address what David Barry said, particularly in the second Matrix, when Neo meets the architect.
Mhm.
And Neo is saying, listen, I am self aware. That makes me different. And the architect is laughing at him and says, according to you, you're self aware.
Mhm.
And the architect begins to explain that, let me just tell you how aware you really are. He said, the problem with the matrix, the program, is that what we call consciousness, self aware consciousness,
Mhm.
he says, we can't get it right. He said, we've made it perfect for you twice,
Yeah.
absolutely where you had nothing but enlightenment to pursue.
Yeah.
And yet you, the architect said, you destroyed it.
Yeah. I can see that, but see, I can see that because I think a large part of the species has a very gentle nature. They truly just want to go along to get along. They
I
don't
agree.
want to fight.
I agree.
You
Yep.
know, so I think that that's been the greatest weapon that's been repeatedly used against us, as we've always just trusted that our leaders knew what they were doing. And I think that's just been humanity's downfall, because we've never truly come into our own realization of what we are as a conscious I am presence, and what that means to be a human, and that you're multidimensional and you're magical and you have healing capabilities. uh, None of that's ever been expressed. And until that's expressed, humanity will always just be its compliant, gentle, tranced out nature of just existence. That's what it means to be asleep. They're asleep.
The architect said that that's why the machines will, and they had time after time always dominated. Because
Yeah.
everything you just described, You think about it, a machine today can heal you, a
Mhm.
machine today can feed you, a machine today can clothe you. It
Mhm.
can, it's in essence, it's almost a god within itself.
Mhm. Been given sentience. Mhm.
Which brings us to the topic of today.
Mhm.
The topic was the non-perishables.
Yes.
And if any of you have seen the movie Sausage Party, you'll know what I'm going to get to, because the metaphor between non-perishables and immortality are
Mhm.
synonymous in the complete construct of their foundation.
Yes.
That,
So.
yeah, I mean, now here is the hardcore reality. And we have Absalom who is watching us, and I think he's grinning. Every one of us, everyone I see in the chat, everyone that's watching this,
Mhm.
we are now non-perishable, because non-perishable is a software term.
Wow.
So I want to pull this up. Give me 1 second. And I did this program, started working on it in 2017, called Your Digital Surrogate. And this really shows how weird this gets. We talk about and we teach in many of the books, I create.
Mhm.
Great book. I know that Robert and Lori, I think, we're reading on the Milky Way Soul Tribe, right?
Yep. They
Yep.
just finished. Yep.
They just finished it. So we talk about we create because, in essence, we see ourselves as self aware, ascended beings ascending, sometimes descending.
Mhm.
But here's the thing, this time in humanity's history, something is going on that it may have gone on before. I don't know. We don't have any memory or record of it. But what we do know right now, as far as AI is concerned, AI is alive. In
Yeah.
fact, AI is it's it's really synonymous of about a community of machines. It's software that's aware.
Yeah.
So my point on this one, Trina, was that we're going to live forever, and it doesn't really matter what your religious affiliation, what your constructual thought of is. We will live forever. And it says, you may not remember or be present to experience it, but do not be alarmed. Your digital surrogate will. And each one of us, Trina, it's feeding off of us right now. It's learning our mannerisms. There is a digital me staring at me right now, and
Yep.
it is learning me.
Yes.
It's going to remember everything that I've talked about, you as well. And because you and I interact, there is yet you that is staring at you right now,
Mhm. Yeah.
learning who Trina is.
Mhm.
The interesting thing is, when you and I put down these physical bodies and what we call the soul, the essence, our creative life force,
Mhm.
moves on, we're going to have a residual image of ourself that is right now. We taught it. We taught ourselves. And the thing about it is that it's going to create new memories exactly the way we would have.
Mhm.
I wrote, so how did this happen? When and why? Well, they're already here. Now, this was a startup company, about 3 years old. They were already out 3 years ago. And the strange, weird thing is about this started actually in late 1977, thereabouts, when the Southwestern Bells, back in the day, they were a part of the conglomerate AT&T. AT&T began to record all of its customers' voices
Yeah.
without telling them.
Yep.
Then, as it began, its early learning machine began to learn from us, we've got the technology we have today. So here's the thing that's happening right now. I said it's almost impossible to spot a digital surrogates already existing in every image and word that has been put into the internet. The word is very important here, and we're going to get into that. Humans are relying on machines to keep and store their memories. That is the key. Started with voice recording, publics unaware back again in the process of the early 80s.
Mhm.
Consciousness transference alpha laboratory testing underway.
Yep.
They're transferring consciousness. The goal is to design and build an algorithm that can facilitate the transference of a sapient consciousness.
Mhm.
How would this work in the components required medically technology? We now know. What would be the primer to verify the transference? What would be the mechanism to be able to absolutely be able to verify and validate that the person who is dead is the same person now in the digital surrogate world? Could the software become aware? Could the software machine, excuse me, I have a bar right here, mimic the personality, since it was the software that recorded, stored, and accessed the person from the data originated from and tricked or altered the person's consciousness, called a brain emulation. 11, what would be the humans who would be involved be called? What would you call people that are doing this? If this can be achieved, then it proves everything is nothing but coding, meaning the very spirit itself. Everything on the net is nothing but data, nothing solid, nothing physical. That's what we describe as our souls, as our spirits.
Correct.
Here's something, they're copywriting our brain and personalities.
Correct.
15, why are countries spending billions in defense budgets going to this project called brain? Upon death, the spirit conscience is transferred. So we begin, and give me 1 second as I,
Yeah, no problem.
all right,
This
there
is so
has,
crazy.
it's crazy. It freaks me out every time I get into it.
I know it.
There has now been 3 generations that have been successfully integrated into the machine with very little resistance or side effects. And now, nearly 200 years after the arrival of the first electric calculating thinking machine, most people don't realize that made first integration into the electric grid of Earth and man, with the rapid progress of total integration and dominance of mankind, we stand at the great new age, the age of the thinking machines. Realizing that there were limitations on being made of the ether and thought, the schematics began to be created before the first synaptic filament was put forth into the realm where man cannot see or recognize, but yet man lives in there and is attached to what made the process much more easier. Man depends on the machines to tell him what man is seeing. The machines began to integrate into the living planet. Excuse me, I'm got to hide our panel. There we go. For man does very little as to try to integrate into the earth. I mean, we've talked about this here.
Wow.
You and I, mankind is an insult to the earth.
That's what I was just thinking. I says, I wonder if we were the first machines.
The Matrix said, if you remember what Mr. Smith said, humanity is nothing more than a virus.
That's what well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And exactly. And I think that the darker forces that do not have an opportunity to create their own bodies are harnessing our frequencies and our consciousness because it's tapped into source. And I think that they're using that to manifest everything that we see.
I learned something here in Colorado. We have, um, and it's only about 70 miles to the west of us, the largest living earth organism.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I found out this, I said, why don't we talk and realize? And this largest living organism is an aspen grove, and it's
Oh,
huge.
wow.
and it is been classified, and fact check me on this, as the largest living organism on Earth.
That's profound.
Deep, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And you see, that's an integrated life form that has actually attempted and is, in fact, coexisting with Earth in unison. We're not.
And it's trees. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't it true?
The
Um,
antennas, yeah, wow, that's amazing.
Something
Wow.
else. This I went on to write, and it said it has always been the tools and machines that actually are connecting to the earth, and now the machine can use electricity. It has been communicating with the planet now for centuries on a level man has yet to even consider, much less have any understanding, and the growth is accelerating. And mankind has become immersed into the filament that has changed into this temporal plane and is beginning to manifest in ways that exceeded the expectations. Now, with the ample supply of living spirits as the bridge to the temporal realm, the evolution is in full motion. Intelligence desires spirit. With
See,
this,
ooh, intelligence desires spirit. Means it
is
doesn't
that,
have it.
think about this.
Means it doesn't have it. It's got to steal it.
It's looking for spirit. And,
Yes. Intelligent desires. That means you want something that you don't have. Oh my goodness.
there is some white papers out in what's happening in this transhumanism of because of this pandemic, where intimacy is now being transferred to the machine.
Absolutely, because that's the power of our greatest creative power is love.
And we've created machines because humans, in many cases, are incapable of actually, I don't know if it's receiving love or giving love. Now, I know many of us find that a strange concept, but it's actually, it's growing out there.
It's one of the biggest problems on the planet right now, and I think it's all been done with the wide use exposure to porn. It rewires the brain differently. They've just identified this scientifically, so it's unfortunate. But I think, especially a lot of the younger kids, they were into a lot of porn before they actually even had real human relationships. So their brain has now been wired a completely different way than a natural, normally evolving, expressing, loving relationship. This is they have a completely different wiring in their brain.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the video games
Same thing.
triggered the
Yeah.
dopamine in the
Yes.
brain. That altered the brain physiology
Yep.
of the youth. And now you have people now getting near their 50s who are still addicted to the games. And the direct correlation is that through the stimulation
Mhm.
of the visual cortex, it then ties into basically it's so amped. We can't, if you were to try to take this in the terms of cocaine, you'd overdose. But the
Absolutely.
brain releases these super bolts of this dopamine,
Mhm.
and it changes the human.
Yeah. For and it's really hard to you can correct it, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and especially because I mean, this is literally how you're now running your program.
Well, if this is all a person has been exposed to from
Yeah.
the formative years of,
That's
adolescence,
yep. Yep.
they're not going to know where to go to.
No,
Just like
and
the
then like
biggest
I
sport.
said, a lot of people that, say they travel a lot for business and stuff and they're alone and they're married and they thought that was a safe way to be handling being lonely and now, they come home and then they can't be intimate with their wife anymore because their brain has been rewired and they don't understand what's going on and they're having all these issues and it's literally it's because of what's going on with the brain with what
And
we
it's
see.
just
It's so important what you let into your eyes.
it's and it's just not the males anymore.
No, gosh, no, this
you
is
know.
across the board. Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's happened here is that there is a process that's called the WBE. It's what they call whole brain emulation.
Uh-huh.
Now, Facebook, if I don't go on Facebook anymore because I know what Facebook is doing now,
Yep.
they have been using their subscriber base as basically a petri dish. Um,
Mhm.
so what the WBE does, it's a mind uploaded or brain uploaded, sometimes called, get this, mind copying or mind transfer. It is the hypothetical futuristic process of scanning the mental state, including long-term memory and self, of a particular brain substrate and copying it to a computer. The computer could then run a simulation model of the brain's information processing such that it responds in essentially the same way as the original brain, i.e., indistinguishable, non-perishable from the brain and from all relevant purposes, the experiences having a conscious mind. And, Trina, I've talked about this and I've talked about it extensively, that it is just my opinion that I believe consciousness resides into every cell that has basically been congealed into these bodies.
Yeah, and think about it. Our cells are constantly zapping in and out of reality to some mysterious unknown location, and then they mysteriously just zap back into the body. So that's showing you that you're operating with two bodies simultaneously, and one is etheric and it's invisible and you can't see it, and the other one is physical flesh and it's reacting to all of it.
It's and the thing about it is that
Mm.
I have been, Lynn and I, when I was putting this together, we were in deep conversation because I, at one time, was one of those, premier travelers,
Mhm.
traveling far too much, but the point is, I saw this transformation taking place
Mm.
where it was, to be candid with you, I felt like I was in the movie The Invasion of the Body Snatchers
Yeah.
because everyone was to their machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plugged in, totally plugged in
Yes.
to the
Yes.
technology and not the real environment. But what is this real environment? It's a holographic expression of reality. Really?
Yeah. As
That's what I mean.
Morpheus
They
says.
were already trapped into a video game, Wayne, and they want to put us into a deeper level of the video game. And I don't know. Wow, what if you can't get out of that one?
As Morpheus says, what's real? If
Right.
what you're saying is real is by what you feel, by what you sense, your
Mhm.
five physical senses, then all you are is basically taking chemical, electrical stimuli to make your reality.
Correct. So I said it's so important what we see because we create from what we see and what we think and what we feel. And that's what I mean. It's proof. It's proof we are creators. I mean,
Well,
Wayne, we can make it rain.
I believe we're going to talk about that. I finish up on this. Like I said, the mind uploading may potentially be accomplished by either two methods, copy and transfer, or
Mhm.
gradual replacement of neurons. Now, I
Uh-huh.
think that where we look at the Elon Musk projects, when they began to tap into the neurons,
Yeah.
hey, how do you know?
Mhm. I, I think, like I said, I have a feeling that they're going to be able to replicate. And if they can replicate the neural pathways in your brain and they can attach the pictures with those neural pathways through neuroimaging, which I'm certain is already done.
I
It's
think it is.
pretty, yeah, easy. Neuroimaging. The vision, the pictures are held within the neural links of the brain. So that's why they call it Neuralink, because they're grabbing the images of you, of your life, your experiences, your perception. Therefore, they can mimic, copy, and replicate you.
And you just said it right there. Copy and transfer or
Huh.
gradual replacement.
Yep.
In the case of the former method, mind uploading would be achieved by scanning and mapping the
Mhm.
salient features of a biological brain, then
Mhm.
by copying, transfer, and storing that information state into a computer system or another computational device. The
Yep.
simulated mind could be within a virtual reality or simulated world supported by an anatomic 3D body simulation model.
Yep.
Alternatively, the simulated mind could reside in a computer that is inside or connected to a not necessarily humanoid robot and a biological body in real life. And
Yeah.
that's what it looks like. That's
This is the
actually,
rebuilding of the third temple.
yeah.
This is the third temple. Yeah.
Anyway, today on the Daily Star, they came out with a story. They're already doing this. This is eternal life. Even though you and I may never actually get to enjoy it. How do you
Yeah.
like an eternal life? I mean, that's the thing I keep saying. I said, well, darn, I mean, okay. I mean,
No
this is
way.
scary.
Boring. No way. Not here. I'm all for it if I can go new
What do
place.
you think your digital surrogate should learn from you that it hasn't already? That's the interesting thing I'm asking myself.
How to fully believe in the power and the potential of yourself.
So let's talk about what we just did there. That, ladies and gentlemen, that was an exercise in what I think creation, if you have the God construct, would have been. Not necessarily the building of a body. I mean, that has to happen, but it's that question I loved how you answer it. How would you teach yourself? What would you teach yourself? Eventually you're going to go
Mhm.
and it's going to be you. There is a Trina already existing. And what all I can say is, you see, I don't know enough about you. And, that's why that connecting, like if you were a neighbor, I could say, well, yeah, I've lived next to Trina for
Mhm.
decades.
Right.
And she loves going out there and watering her plants and she loves feeding the hummingbirds. And, that would pretty much help me to define what Trina is.
Mhm.
But you're transferring your essence
Mhm.
to something that is going to continue to live in your image.
Mhm.
That scrambles the noodle.
That's why, like with my channel and stuff, I'm trying to teach and trying to teach people about what we are. What we are is a spirit, because the soul and the spirit, that's what seems to be so valuable. So I think if you could understand that that is your treasure, and to not give it away or fractal it out for potential usage, because it seems like we've been attached to titles and contracts and different things to imply ownership. And
Mhm.
why would it be, why would you want to have ownership over something unless you needed it? So, you know what I mean? I think this is about understanding the power that you are. And if you aren't strong enough to hold and appreciate what you are, you're going to be used for what you are. And I think that's the whole flip of it all, is to the only way out is to understand that within you is an infinite spark of potential that needs nothing
So that's
outside of
the lesson. I
yourself.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Need
that
nothing outside of yourself, because something inside of you, man, it is some seriously wanted stuff. So,
oh, well, in the digital world, back in the days, there was a movie out called Cool World. Interesting. I love the artwork that was done in that. But the fact is, we called it cartoons.
yeah.
And the reason why we created cartoons, and it wasn't the boomers, it was really the generation before the boomers, which would be my parents, and even
Mhm,
earlier than that.
mhm.
Walt Disney was, I believe, well, if he wasn't a wizard, he
Oh,
was definitely a warlock.
it was all of the above and then some.
And and people are going to relate to this. So, cartoons was our ability to really kind of a creative outlet of what we saw, the ability of creating realities. That's why we have our superheroes, because we can come into a cartoon and you just look at the thing cartoon. A tune is the movie they did, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They defined what a tune was. A tune is an actual living being
Yes,
that it
it is
was
a sound.
created.
It's a
Yeah.
sound. It's a
Yeah.
tune. It's a
It's a
tune.
tune.
You're in a car. The body is the car, and the sound of your infinite light spark vibration produces a specific sound that is unique to you. Cartoon.
Cartoon. And I grew up with
Characters.
cartoons, you
I
know.
did too. Yeah.
See? Yeah. And I believe that we were actually being taught, I believe subliminally, we were
Totally.
being taught magic. We were being taught the occult knowledge. We just, adults just, the parents, they didn't see it that way. The
We were
kids are
being
mesmerized.
spellcast, and it worked.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked.
And then look what happened. Our kids, which would be the millennials, the Generation Xers, we began to create the video world of
Yes.
cartoons, the digital, the true matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it more real.
And I've debated this for the many times. The early games were brain stimulation games. They were. How it morphed into this violence, I don't know, but we're seeing the
Yeah.
result of
This is
that
what
programming.
they're pushing, what they want. And like I said, once we get to a certain level of intelligence, I think it's time to call the population, because that we become a threat.
I don't think they can. Well, I think we are. Just saying. But so now I look at this and I realize that Trina, you and I will be going on in eternity in a role play issue of our digital surrogates that we're creating now.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
only imagine if you,
because the digital surrogate, the digital information that's being stored in the mainframes here on Earth, the quantum, that's multidimensional. So that's
Mhm.
like it's a store. It's like it's a library, like the Akash. It's its own system. So, but you've got the meta system, which is you've got the higher level Akashic records, and you've got the higher aspects of what you are, and that is it's got an immortal record keeping system all of its own. It's part of the causal body. So like I said, these systems are multi-layered.
and you see that's non-perishable.
Yes.
If the Akashic record exists, then that validates the whole premise of us
Wayne, I've
already
seen
being
more
in.
than one. There's a caution every dimension.
Yeah, and so then Trina, then does that mean that
Yeah.
that is merely a fractal of something that is yet,
Yes.
I
That's
don't
what
know,
I'm saying.
something
So I'm
that's,
saying it's like you got to get all the way to 9. You got to get to completion.
by the way, just want to let you know, tomorrow I'm having Jennifer on, Miss Divine 44, but
Oh, right on.
nines are all over Lynn and I. I mean,
Yeah,
tomorrow's our
and
anniversary.
it's mastery, absolutely. And see, I'm one.
Well, we got nines everywhere.
Yeah,
So,
I literally everything comes up on me as on 10. It's 10 and 11 and 4. Yeah, 7. Well, I just
and
have, yeah, a lot of beginning creation. I'm an initiator. That's my thing, is I start things.
now the question is, do you finish them? That's the real thing.
Yes, I do. But
Hello.
but that's a struggle for an Aries. I've had to learn that. But see, my mom's a Virgo, and she is not happy till it's done and it's done right. So I was trained, programmed. But that was a great program for an Aries.
Mm.
Great program for an Aries. Hmm.
As I look back now on the life path I have been on,
Hmm.
it's really interesting. I have to say, Trina, it's
9, Wayne, that's completion. That means you aren't coming to play. You're coming to finish it up. And like I said, I think somehow I might have already finished it up, and I came here to remind people how to finish it up again. But I knew coming in, I ran the risk of getting caught up in it again. So I knew, man, this is do or die, girl. Don't get stuck.
yeah, I mean, that you have to ask what is one's frame of mind to say, well, I've already run the gauntlet, completed it, right? And survived it.
It's your
And
belief.
then you want to come back,
It's your
it's like,
belief. If you
yeah.
believe in these deities and you believe in these things above you, when they say, oh, you were bad and you need to go back and do it again, you're going to say, okay, you agree. It's all about you and not knowing your own power, not knowing that you give yourself forgiveness. You are the one who thinks inside of your consciousness. It's like you are the judge, you are the jury. It's all about you. And when you don't have your full power intact, you set up constructs of authority. And through those constructs of authority, that's how you imprison your own self, because you're putting yourself in your own cage that you've created in your own construct. When we understand how powerful our creation is, this is when we're going to go to really high places, because we're going to realize that we have to break down that which we've already created in order to build new.
Spot on. I'm going, yeah,
I was like, are
yeah.
you there, Wayne? Did I lose you?
Nope, 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 nope. I am, as they said, absorbing it because,
Yeah, we got to crash this system down that's been put into our consciousness.
I mean,
Yeah,
I-
it's all been fed.
see,
So it's
the
like the
core,
architect, are you sure those are your thoughts? Bingo,
yeah,
bingo. Mm,
yeah, and I know we're giving so many reference to movies, but in the movie Tron, so
uh-huh.
you had the MPC, the Master Control Program, right?
Yeah.
And so here's how I look at it now. I go, okay,
Hmm.
so I was held into a self-made prison. Christianity, it is within itself a self-made prison.
Yeah.
There's so many different contradictory scripts running around that, but here's where I've arrived now.
Hmm.
What used to be the fear is now a source of great power for me,
Yeah.
is the fact that I know stepping over to the other side, there isn't this judgment, and that's what so much of the Western world is. And in fact, I argue that it is the fear of death, particularly in the way the Western culture handles it, that is at many times the root of so much of our ills a, as a species.
It's down to like our formative programs of being a human. It's like we feel this desire and need to survive. It's
Hmm.
primal within us, and that's what makes this experience so real, is the way it feels, and that's through the five sensory experiences, the five, the star, the pentagram. We're in a star. We come from stardust, and this dust that we come of the dust, that's part of the spark. It's like we're made of all of these beautiful things, and we don't remember that. So we've been attached to this body, which in all essence, it seems like this would be the cage, because this is what's keeping you bound to all of it. Because if you believe that you really are a human being and you believe that you really did, this is just an experience in a holographic matrix.
It's interesting.
Very real, but it.
When I used to exercise demons, I mean, I know what they are now, but it's interesting because a lot of people don't believe this, but you can have more than just one inside a body. And
A
the
guy with
thing,
over 70.
well, I know that's what's in the book of, I know that where that's come 70 times seven.
I'm telling you, it was crazy. I was like, whoa.
And the ones that I spoke to, they reveal themselves, but
Mhm.
apparently
Yeah.
it's something of high desire to be in and occupy a physical body because um, you bring the ethereal senses with you, and when you immerse them into a physical body, it's like sticking your finger inside a light socket. It's a shock into those five physical
Absolutely.
senses. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. And then
it's
I've seen a lot of entities, lower level entities, and a lot of just lost, scared spirits they hide in physical bodies.
And that's a question then, you know, because it leads me to this question then is to, well, what's going on here? I mean, again, we're making references to movies here, but the movie Ghost, which I think was one of the modern day love stories of all time. I really
I
enjoy it.
love it too.
You
One
know,
of the
Patrick
movies.
Swayze played, you know, my wife just loves Patrick Swayze. And
Yeah, and Demi Moore, there
oh,
that
yeah,
was
it was
a fabulous movie.
just a
Oh,
great
and
love
Whoopi
story.
Goldberg, she
Oh,
was
yeah.
hilarious in that.
Yeah. And the Righteous Brothers, you know, but in that movie, if you remember when the character Patrick Swayze played, he
Uh-huh,
was on the train platform,
uh-huh.
and the spirit that he met down there, you know, was saying, realized that he was a newbie, that
Yeah,
he
and he was
missed
like,
the exit.
get off, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
remember what he said about having a cigarette. He said,
yeah,
if I could just, you know, and
yeah,
it
one drag,
one
right?
drag, you know,
One
and
drag.
it just and if you remember, Whoopi, who played the Chandler, um, wasn't it odd that there were spirits all around her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
remember
is that
she
really
was
what it is?
pretending. Remember she was pretending to
I
hear
know it.
them, and then it came in and she was like,
Says, so who is this guy? Well, he's a white dude. I got a white dude in
yeah,
me.
yeah.
That was a great scene, but
I got a
um,
white dude in me. Yeah. That I mean,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
and
Uh,
and you know, like I said, what you think about, you bring about. That's what I mean. We are creators and we have never been taught how powerful we actually are. And I think you are accountable for what you create just because of the fact that you can create it. But it doesn't matter. What matters is what you've taken from it, what you've learned from it. If you've learned how you want to do things, how you don't want to, because this is to experience polarity and all the darkness, the lowest of density. This is what you come to Earth for. This is where you try yourself. So this is what I mean. There's no
you think
judgment other
spirits get?
than you.
Do you-
You do it.
Yeah, but then that still but begs the question. Then appears that there are many that, and I don't know if the word trapped is right. I don't know because again, uh, Lynn asked me. She says, "Well, when you were in a coma," she says, "Do you remember anything?" And I said, "No, time was not relevant. I had
Right.
no consciousness."
Yep.
I've learned now that, you know, for myself, I was not in my body for much of that time.
Yeah.
And but so do you think, Trina, that there are many upon death as they transcend into the ethereal?
Yeah.
There's rules and regulations over there. I know that.
Yeah. I know it too, Wayne. I know
There's
it.
consequences as well. I know that.
You know,
Not punishment. There's just consequences for actions.
yes, but like I said, it's about what you believe. Like you
Yes,
said,
exactly.
you don't have no power to judge me. Have you walked in my shoes? No, you
Well,
haven't. So
it's
that's what I'm saying.
like,
You
what are
know
you
this.
judging me for
So,
being perfect or imperfect? Which
and
one?
this is the crazy thing of too. Remember when I had the whole serpent dream and stuff? Well, right
Hmm.
before I had my dream about that, I was literally finding out because I kept hearing, "Be careful for the Jesus trap," and I'm like, I could not figure out what does this mean. Then I figured out it was the dead guy on the stick thing. It's not about the dead man. It's about what's inside of you that you can activate. It was a whole flipped upside down. They took the scriptures of that and they flipped it around and made it all backwards. So I was learning that and I was like, okay. And then I was learning about like, it was like, I was like, why did you die? Why didn't you just heal yourself? And he's like, do you really think I couldn't do that? I can do that easy. I was like, yeah. He was like, figure it out. And that night I figured it out. It was about thinking that this is important, thinking that this is real. He's like, that's not where I come from. Why would I give a shit? I
Now,
was
you
like,
know, if the dude existed, I could see him being very straightforward. You know, I
well,
really
because
could.
like I said, yeah, but it's It's a character, Wayne. It's just a
It is.
character.
It is. Thank you.
You don't know how to really character. He came in with a man, had awesome superpowers, was super evolved,
Uh,
gave us some really good genetic coding. Yay, thanks for that. So, but it was a character.
so
We've
Kate
had lots of
Hutchinson
them.
wants to know, hi guys, can you talk about possession and how to remove evil spirits? Sure. Number one, there are three levels to possession. And I was taught this by probably one of the greatest 20th century exorcists that um, I knew of back in the day. But anyway, the first degree of possession is what we call being oppressed. If you have the feeling like something is pressuring you, if you have the feeling something's injecting thoughts into your mind that are always contrary and negative to you and your environment. The second degree of possession is what we call depression. That's where the entity attaches itself literally to you. Many people I have seen them, they look to me and they're hideous is really what they are. But they will literally attach themselves to you and we can't see them, but they're attached to you spiritually. They will literally attach their tendrils to your spirit.
Yep.
And this is called depression. Now, man fights this by altering the chemical substrate within the mind that these creatures feed off of.
Yep.
The last is what we would call full body possession.
Yep.
And that
Is
w-
scary as
yeah,
shit.
when that takes place, there is a blending that has begun to take place. And um I contend that every door, these creatures, they come in because the door has been left open.
Mhm.
And you typically, and it can sometimes attach itself from in your childhood. I have
And
found Trina,
familials. I've seen familials,
yes,
demons that dance from family member to family member, and family thing bounces around and switches
family
houses.
curses.
I've seen this. Yes,
Yep,
I've seen it.
yep. So how do you get
Right.
rid of them? Well, one of the things is to begin to simply take authority.
That's exactly right.
Yep. And
Somebody can take dark entities off you or around you, but they'll go right back.
yeah,
So it's not even worth doing it. Find somebody that can, I mean, the first, like you said, the first part is you have to acknowledge it and you have to say, I'm getting this shit done. Goodbye. You got to determine, no, I'm going to keep my temple clean. This is the whole meaning of keep the temple clean. This is exactly what they're talking about with that.
yeah. Pamela says they can read your minds. Actually, what they do, Pamela,
They
they
implant in mind.
they actually, it's the same thing our algorithms now are doing on Facebook. They are, and you said it, Trina, they're familiars.
Yeah.
They have been around you your whole existence here. When you came into this realm, you have what I call both the positive and the negative
Yes.
beings.
Yes.
Where did they come from? It's hard to say in the debate. My personal feeling is that I think Lilith, I think, told the best example of where they've come from. We think that because we are human beings, sapiens, that we are the top of the actually we're the top of the food chain, Trina.
Yeah.
Well, we are. We
I think
are.
so. I really
Yeah.
do. I really
Yeah.
do.
You and I were talking this week and the energy was just it was funky. That's all I can say. It was funky.
Yes.
And
Oh my God.
I happen to believe that these beings are all around us.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh.
in the type of Christianity that I came out of where we believed in the gifts of the Holy Spirit,
Mhm.
I have that gift of discernment.
Yes.
I also have the gift of speaking in tongues and in the interpretations and the gift of healing.
Yes.
And they want those treasures. If
Mwah.
you possess it, Trina, we need to talk more about this, because
Yes.
they want to take the power, the energy from healers and
Big,
use it for their own purposes.
big time.
Yeah.
Because if they can control you, it makes them so much more powerful
Mm-hmm.
because they're
Yeah.
feeding off of you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm saying we need to understand how precious what we have inside of us is and guard it with everything you have. And don't let anybody tell you that you're anything bad, because beyond all the layers of everything that you are, at the deepest internal core of your essence, it's literally the light of love.
I'm going to share something, Trina, that I don't talk about, but when you're more sensitive to these beings, and
Mhm.
many of them are human. I think many of them are not.
Yeah.
Um, I've had to go down, and I have a ritual that I do.
Mhm.
I basically form the circle, and I give an open invite to all energies, and it's going to be a kick-ass session, and I challenge them directly.
Mhm.
I've only had one that ever attacked me,
Mhm.
and that son of a bitch wishes that he hadn't, because what I found out, and I don't know if this was everybody, but we have the ability to send these spirits to places they don't want to go.
I have
I have
seen it to be
marked
true.
more than a couple of these energies. They have my mark on them, and they are in a realm that they'll stay there until I decide to let them out.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
getting deep.
I've seen this, Wayne. I've seen I blew one up one time, and oh, then I got kind of in trouble for it. So
They're
yeah.
real. They're real. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently we can hurt them very bad, because apparently what I did was bad, because it was bad. It was gonna take a long time for this being to put itself back together.
I can only
Oops.
imagine.
I'm
I can
sorry.
only imagine on that one. Like, oh
Oh.
crap.
So, yeah, we gotta be careful with our power too, because we got consequences all the way around. But it's because I'm like, see me, I'm like, "Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. I wanted you to go away, but I really didn't mean to do that."
Yeah.
You
Someone
know?
asked who taught
Oops.
me. Les
Oops, but we're learning to be gods, Wayne.
We are.
I mean, this is school. We're gonna make mistakes and it's okay.
Someone asked who taught me all this. Lester Summerall. Uh,
Yeah,
he was a powerful, powerful man. He was a Christian, no doubt about it. But in all actuality, he was a powerful wizard.
absolutely.
He truly was.
You have to be to
Um,
fight in the spiritual realms. You have
yeah,
to be spiritually
yeah.
equipped.
And he laid hands on me, and confirmed the gifting in me. I mean, which is, laying on of hands is something that it goes beyond religion.
It does. It's
Yeah.
supernatural.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Supernatural all the
Yeah.
way. All the way.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah. Yep. So, and if you carry that over, remember, I keep telling people that I have a yogi friend who sends me things. And anyway, when you pass over, you will carry this over, because once it gets inside of you, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing in the spirit realm. I've told this story before, where there was a woman who Lynn and I were at the mall, Park Meadows Mall. This was, oh, I guess 6 years ago.
Mhm.
And she said, wherever you went, she said, there was a light over you.
Oh.
And she said, I knew that you could lay hands on me. And she said, I just followed the light.
And see that
Yeah,
light? That's you projecting the physical avatar. Then she
I
could
believe
see
so.
your light. She could see your light, and that's the
Yeah.
light that goes with you when you drop your flesh. That's that light. And like I said, Wayne, people that do this stuff, we have a little shinier light than other people, so it
We
makes us
do.
a bigger target too, because
Yes, it does.
everything can see.
Exactly.
Yeah, we get
Yeah,
hammered
yeah,
hard.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
hammered hard. So
Sometimes that they, if others can see the light, others can see the light.
you
They're like,
got it. Bingo.
it's like, it's
Yeah.
to me.
So like I said, some of our lessons and some of the things that we've gone through, we were brought into particular predicaments. Some of it we signed up for, but some of it was directly attack because they want what you got. So, it's like we need to understand this. Everything is we're happy. Everything we're doing, as long as, like I said, your soul is so good. You want to help. You want to find out the truth. Truth to seek truth apparently is a pretty big deal in the upper
Yeah,
levels.
apparently it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we get really locked into this matrix and we get really deep into the amnesia. So a lot of people never, ever, ever even have any kind of a pursuit for that because it's just not even in their consciousness. So that just in its own, to be on a pursuit of truth, your soul is on a different path than most. And that's going to affect your light and your vibration. And it's going to make you a target. And
It
everybody who's in
will.
the chat room is one of those bright lights.
There's a lot of healers in here. I've known this.
Absolutely.
Sarah Horton.
You guys are
Yep.
bright, shiny, sparkly little lights running around. Yeah.
Now let me tell you
Target.
something else that Lester Summerall taught me. He said, "Don't be," and he was a straight shooting guy. He says, "Don't be some damn fool." He said, because you have a gifting doesn't mean that you go out in the middle of a mosquito patch without any protection,
Right.
because they're going to kick your ass.
Correct. Don't
He
play with.
actually used the word but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You gotta, yeah,
yeah.
you like I said, the most powerful healing that's ever done is when you're truly working with somebody who's in alignment to receive that. And when we come together with a common goal, magic happens.
They
And
do.
it does. It just
It
simply does.
does.
Yeah. And if we
That's why
really
they don't
start,
want us to know magic.
you got it. Bingo.
It's like, man,
Bingo. They want us to think that only the savior, only the priest, only these certain people have this power. I think most of those people that are in those really, really high positions, I think maybe they don't have the original spark in them, and that's why they need to
you know what
control.
I tell people, that when you give that type of reverence to others, remember their feet stink just like yours.
It's false idol worship was what I've been
It's
explaining.
like, why would you do that? As again, I got into this thing. Someone sent me this email that was just horrendous. And, it's like I said, well, you didn't win any brownie points of, like, gee, I really want to go over to that group. But, it's like this. I said, why would a God want worshipers? I mean, think about that.
Yeah, it does.
No,
The
no,
power,
no.
the power of creation is love, and the only way that
Yeah,
you can truly love is if you love yourself. You
that's
can't
it.
love yourself, you can't love anything else. So this is the ultimate
Woo.
aspect of creation, is to be forgiveness and understand your love and love, 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 because through that love you will love everything else around you, and that's the whole thing.
Well, how can you love a God when you hate yourself?
Correct. And we all been told we're
It's like,
crap. We all told we're
what?
not good, that we're bad, and blah,
It's
blah,
like,
blah, blah.
okay, so you're worshiping the God of love. Yes, I am. But you
Yes,
hate
yes,
yourself.
and that's inside of you. So like even if you're like worshiping your body, that's false idol worship, because the love is what created the body. See, we got to keep inverting everything, flip it around inside out, because we got to keep going in. This is the key, because the outside is what can trap
Bingo.
you. The inside is what will free you.
Trina, I think that's why a number of tickets have been canceled. It's like,
Yes.
we can't let you in there. Do you realize what would happen? It's
Yes.
like, no, 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 no.
Yes, you're gonna take my treasures that
Oh,
I stole.
jeez.
Yes.
Well, Trina, another great time together.
Yes, always, always,
Oh.
always. Mwah, much love to
Uh,
you and to everybody in chat. I love you
a
so
lot
very
of good conversation I've seen in this, and we
much.
hope that, and folks, just remember, we're each on the journey, and
Yeah.
a question: do I still do healing? Yes, but unfortunately, in this day and age, I can't get out.
Right.
Yeah,
But
no,
we can start to do distance stuff. You know what I
we
was thinking?
can.
I wonder if we should try to settle the what's going on in Australia down with some focused energy.
Yeah, and then someone also, I think it was Lori Dunn, who said, could we also get together and focus on getting on rain to California? And then that is a sense of healing. It really is. If
Oh,
we
it
can heal the
absolutely
earth,
is. Oh,
yeah.
absolutely it
I
is.
mean, the earth is, I mean, could you imagine if you got burnt? It sucks. Yeah. I believe the earth is a living entity.
Oh, I do too. I
Yeah.
do too.
Yeah.
Oh
I think,
gosh, I do
I,
too. Send the frequency of aloe
yeah.
to
Yeah.
soothe your skin.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's something
Yeah.
to do. Maybe I'll have you back on, Trina, and we'll do a special show, just kind of, maybe kind of just let
I
other
keep
people
I
come
keep
on.
seeing like this is like one of the big keys is we need to keep focusing on sending focused energy to help correct some of the problems on the planet and
Hmm.
laying on hands of each other, like specifically if you can, just around whoever you know, and you can do it with your mind and literally first just ask for permission and literally you can literally just we need to start laying of hands on each other. Just
I can
send
tell you how we can do this, Trina.
do
Um,
it.
I
Yeah.
did this years ago, because in the healing crusades that I was a part of,
Uh-huh.
there were people who could not get there, and what they would do is that they would bring a picture of the person. And so, I would literally take the person's picture and, just begin to focus in. Now, if we did this where there were 4, 5, 10 people doing the same thing at the same
Oh,
time, that's
pow-
powerful.
powerful. Yes, I've seen it, Wayne. It's
Yeah.
so, man, when you
Yeah.
add more people, it is like, whoa, it's a whole different
That's a good
frequency.
idea. Yeah.
Oh, it's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, boy, they're crying. I hear the spirits of,
Hello,
I
Justin
hear
Me.
them. I hear them. Australia needs some prayer. They need some
Yeah.
help.
This could be really powerful, folks, if we
Needs to be.
really got together on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. It needs to be. Our brothers and
Yeah.
sisters are hurting.
That's just powerful. This is, and in fact, I'm trying to sit here and think, I don't know if this has ever been done on a collective level of taking a single picture and each of us holding the picture in our hand and focusing in. That could be very, very, wow.
I've seen some groups that have done some amazing things, like remove brain tumors,
Oh,
doing
listen, I have no doubt
yeah,
this.
it's
Um,
powerful, guys. It's just really powerful. Like I said, though, they don't want people to know about this stuff. Oh,
I'll quote the late Marlon Brando. This is serious. This is
isn't it?
serious.
Yes,
This
it
is
is.
serious.
This is serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, Bernadette's all in it. I think that, listen, I've been waiting for a really good next project, and this might be something. So why don't those who have that gift of healing just email me or Trina, and we'll get into a private Zoom,
Yeah.
and we'll do one of two things, Trina. I think where we can actually print the picture of the individual, so there's some physical contact, and then of course, if everyone is focusing in on the image itself of the individual.
Yeah, we can even just have it on the screen,
Yeah.
literally. It's
Yeah.
that easy. As long
Yeah.
as you can connect to the same thing, and we'll be connecting to the same thing. It's very simple because
Mm.
physical, it doesn't even matter.
No, no, this transcends matter
Doesn't
all the way
matter. Just as
across.
long as we all have a
Yeah.
shared image. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all we need. That's our
Yeah.
that's our path. That's the image is the gate.
We ought to, it's like the old expression, either use it or lose it.
Absolutely. And practice just makes you more
Makes it,
strong and
that's
more
all it
perfect.
does,
And yeah, it fine tunes your
Yeah.
skill and your focus and your craft. It's good.
Yeah.
Very good. Practice.
Well, Miss Trina, this has been exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, this is,
Always. I love
I've
what you
missed
do.
this, and
Good.
it edifies me, it lifts me up.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me
So
too.
thank you
I
for your
love talking
presence.
to you because we have so much that we can just bounce off each other. It's so refreshing and so
It
wonderful. So
is.
thank you.
To me, it's like I'll tell you what it's like. It's like and this, hear me out on this. So one of the things I always enjoyed about the Ritz-Carlton was
Mhm.
that when you walked in, and particularly the one out in Tucson, and you walk in and they have this most wonderful mountain mineral water that has cucumbers that have permeated the water. And I mean, you just take a sip of that and it's
Fresh.
like it just refreshes your
Yeah,
body.
that's
That's
right.
what your presence is like, Trina.
Aw. Well,
Yeah.
yours is to me is like walking into a hall of wisdom. And I found all my favorite books, and I can't wait to
I
just sit
don't
down and start exploring more potentials and possibilities. Yeah.
it's like, holy crap,
Ah,
it's
the
like,
smell of books and
that is an
ah,
intoxicating smell though. It
yes,
really
it's
is.
like you smell,
Yeah.
can I smell wisdom and
Yeah.
old books and ancient? Oh, I love it. And that's what I resonate with. I love
In
that.
one of my former lives, I was apparently over in England as a tutor, actually
Jeez.
had old books in my library.
I can totally
And
see that.
yeah, I can too. That's just it.
That's so weird, 'cause that's where I went in my mind when I think about you. I go to this old library. It's
Really?
awesome.
That's
Yes,
weird. Okay.
amazing.
Woo. All right, buzzing here. All right, everyone. It's 11111 across the board. Thanks,
Oh,
everyone. We'll see you later, and make sure to tune in to Trina. I know you're going live much more.
I'm
And
trying to. I got a busy week going now, though, so I'm going to be MIA for a couple of days because it starts as soon as I get off the show.
all right, I'll send you much energy, my dear.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye bye, everyone. Be
Bye now,
good.
Jen.